Good morning, Oracles. So I'm wearing blue today, kind of hoping that maybe the blue will entice the market to bring the volatility down a little bit, be a little more calm, and maybe we can not be as crazy with our ups and downs over the next week or so. We shall see. I'm just doing it in hopes. So I had yesterday, Rupon had asked in the comments how I thought Tesla was going to trade today and tomorrow based upon Giga Berlin opening tomorrow. So, I was toying with a couple of ideas and thoughts, and one was, are we going to get a sell the news type of situation tomorrow? But usually when that happens, we get a run up into that time, and we didn't really get a run up because of the Giga Berlin opening. We got a run up last week due to the fact that the Fed gave us the news that we wanted to hear, and the market felt comfortable investing more money in, so everything ran. So we'll see how it trades today and tomorrow. If it runs a lot the next 2 days, going up until tomorrow when the opening happens, we might get a little bit of a sell-off. But I think the macro environment is still stronger than the individual news going on with the company. So we might actually get a little bit of a rally coming out of it because it is good news. And we're going to see it finally happening. We're going to see the cars getting delivered. We're going to see the quality of the vehicles that are coming out of Berlin. And this might actually be a good thing. So we might see a little bit of a run up. We might see a little profit taking. Might not actually move too much based upon the factory opening. We've had all the delays along the way, so it's not like it's it opened early, this is great. This is news we've seen coming for a while. So I don't know how much is actually going to trade based upon Berlin opening. But, we might see that little bit of a run up into the opening, but we may trade just because of the fact that a little bit of a burden has been taken off of our shoulders, so the stock and all the stocks feel like they can be elevated a little bit more right now. So now looking at other questions, I had Abhishek asking if what I thought for production delivery numbers are going to be for Q1. So they're about the same. So I've got 325,000 projected for deliveries and 327,000 projected for production. Breaking it down factory by factory, I've got numbers coming out of Shanghai for production of 131,300. I've got Shanghai at 194,425. And of course, Shanghai is a little bit easier because we get those numbers on a monthly basis. So we already have January and February numbers. January is at 68,117 for production and 55,308 for February. So I've got it at 71,000 for March. Austin, I have at 500. I really don't know if we're going to get anything out of Austin. We've got the GigaFest coming on April 7th, so we might actually not get any true production coming out of Austin in this quarter. And then Berlin, I have for 1,000. Seems like they could probably put out, 100 or so a day over the week or so that we have until the end of the month and the end of the quarter. So I've got them at about 1,000. And so just based off of my projections for the quarter, that would be an annualized basis of 1.3 million. And let's not forget that we are still ramping Shanghai with their new expansion. Fremont's still going to continue to ramp a little bit. And then we've got Austin and Berlin still truly coming online and haven't even really started their initial ramp. So looking at those numbers, 1.3 million projected for the end of the year. Obviously, this is barring any supply chain issues that continue to possibly get worse. Doesn't seem like they're going to get worse. Prices and inflation may be worse, but it seems like the supply might be actually getting better as the year goes on. And the prices of the supplies are really where we're going to see the numbers come for the Q1 earnings call, and that's where we're going to see the margins. And the margins are going to tell us how hard Tesla was hit with inflation and the prices going up. And then you can also do the math based upon how much they have gone up in the prices of their vehicles to see if that is going to be offsetting the costs that they have incurred over the last couple of months due to inflation going up. We can also then take into account the ramping of Austin and Berlin to see if the cost of the vehicles going up is also going to offset those ramping costs. So a lot of different things in play. So looking at production and delivery numbers, we may get a similar reaction to what we got at the end of Q4, where we may get really good numbers causing the stock to soar. And obviously macro environment stuff may cause it to not soar as much, but we may get a good bounce if we get the good numbers. And then Q1 earnings might be slightly different than Q4. Q4, we were all anticipating the roadmap, which some people didn't like the roadmap. It wasn't what they were anticipating. We're well past that now. We know what it was. But I think the biggest question going into Q1 earnings is margins, is how were the margins affected by inflation and by the factory ramps? That's going to be a huge piece of the puzzle that we see coming out of the Q1 earnings. So when we do get that number, that may cause the stock to go up or down depending on the number. I'm going to have to take a look and let me know if you guys know what Wall Street's expectations are for margins. I just know that looking at the numbers, if we're over 25% margins for Q1 earnings, I think that's going to be awesome. I'm slating them for 30%. I know I'm pretty high considering the ramps that are going on, but anything over 25 I think is going to be excellent considering the inflation and the initial ramps of Austin and Berlin. And so while I think that Q1 earnings are going to give us a good idea of how inflation has affected margins, I think Q2 is really going to tell us the full sign of the initial ramps, because at that point, Austin and Berlin will be in full ramp mode. And so we'll see the numbers there and how margins are being affected by that, plus inflation numbers, because we know inflation is still continuing to go up. So we'll see how those numbers are there. So I think Q2 earnings this year are going to be probably the biggest earnings we may see. Q3 is just going to be a reiteration of Q2 and to show the progress. And then Q4 is just the end of the year. So Q4 is probably going to be big as well. But I think Q2 is really going to tell us the full story of where we can project out the rest of the year to see how Tesla is performing with the ramps of Austin and Berlin. And so looking at all the different pieces of information that we have based upon Berlin opening up tomorrow, we've got very little macro environment negativity unless something just comes up out of nowhere and shocks us all like it has been. If the macro environment stays steady or gets better, I think we will end up having a net positive week this week, might finish near 950 at the end of the week. So we'll see how this all plays out. Let's see if my predictions come to fruition. And let me know in the comments below what you think we are going to end this week at for a stock price. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. I share all of the latest Tesla news, pertinent stock market information, and all of my daily trades. Thank you so much. Have a great one.